So it is Tuesday in the East and May 23rd. Welcome to This is America, your morning news here at Black Alerts. I'm Alex Haynes.
And I am Tiffanie Lanelle. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Tiffanie.
How art thou?
Down in Atlanta.
ATL, you know what it is.
I'm here in New York. And it's been over a year since, well, for me specifically, since I have done any type of broadcasting, sharing my opinion with anybody besides the people that I love, right? I just don't do it. I've been, and to be fair, I get a lot of messages about like, what do you think about this? I know it's because I'm not putting it out there, and I get them a lot, like a lot. As for somebody that's been sharing opinions live, for
over a decade,
almost 2 decades. Yeah. It's been a challenge for me, but I feel good. I feel refreshed and I feel blessed. So that was really what I needed. I'm also so used to live formats. You know, I've been listening to so many different podcasts and people's thoughts. And I also have retained so much new information. So I think that's a life update for me. If you were wondering. I know you're probably here for the news and also like, what the hell is he talking about now? What are they talking about now?
Everything. We're going to talk about everything because there's a lot to talk about. So I have missed this. I have missed us having these conversations.
We still have these conversations, just not for them.
True. We just haven't been sharing them. And so
if I had it my way, it would remain that way.
But we can't afford to do that anymore. And so honestly, much like you, I am also tired of hearing the questions of when are you coming back? Where's the podcast? You are my news source. I need my news.
So first and foremost, let's correct that, because what didn't go away was the Black Alerts app. Okay. What you can do, what you do this for me right now, okay? I want you, if you give a damn about us at all, me at all, go to the app store and make this the best Black app in the store. Black Alerts it's gonna come up as soon as you get there, and then you're informed. You don't have to wait on a broadcast. You don't have to wait on a rant. You don't have to wait on a lot of foolishness, right? You can get your news straight without my opinion or my commentary, because what the most important thing and the reason that we do this and the reason that we had to come back is because it's important that we get information that is pertinent and relevant to us.
Right.
I don't get into the conversation about interracial this, interracial that. I don't give a damn about none of that. That's not my purview. But what is important, because we could, like, I don't believe in that. We don't see color. We see color. We see the color that we are, and we know that things are different. And to assume or portray or believe Tim Scott, you put it out there like we're all the same, and we're not, like, you can't ignore things that matter. And that is the thing that I think brought us together. The reason that we thought it was initially to start Black News Alerts, the reason that we thought that people should get information, specifically our people. But the truthful hard side of that is A, we want to talk about fat asses and blunts, and don't see, and this is why I'm also, fair disclaimer, no one has tamed this mouth at all in 2 years. So
I have been told that I am getting worse. And I can't seem to find the care to work on that, because I feel like America, well, I can't say America's getting worse. It's returning back to what it has been previously. Let's get into the news, because we said we were going to cap this at a certain time. So we're going to get into the news. So in case you have not heard, President Biden and Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, have been meeting to discuss and negotiate about the debt ceiling. Now, let me start at the beginning, because I recognize that not everybody even understands what that means. So what is a debt ceiling? Why are people talking about it, or why should people be talking about it? So a debt ceiling, or our debt limit, is basically our total borrowing power that we have as the United States government in order to pay our existing bills. This is not for new bills or any new debt or anything like that we want to take on, but to pay existing bills and meet existing obligations, Social Security, military salaries, interest on loans, different things like that. So basically, imagine you have a car, you have a house, or you have that couch that you've been paying, to rent to own, or whatever it is. If you need to borrow money, you can only use that money to pay for your existing obligations. You cannot borrow money and then go out and get another new car. That is what the debt ceiling is, but for the United States government. So it is said, or estimated, it's called the X date, that we will reach the X date in potentially a couple of weeks, essentially, at the beginning of June. And so if we reach that, if we default basically on our obligations, it will cause some pretty significant economic issues. We're talking loans going up, the amount that it would cost to do loans would go up, jobs would be lost, millions of jobs would be lost. Mind you, we are at an unemployment rate that has been the lowest it has been since 1969. Black communities have the lowest unemployment rate since it's been recorded, and we are at 12.6 million jobs gained. And so if this happens, you're muted. You're muted. And so if this happens, we are going to see just a lot of impacts to our economy. The stock market will go down. We have avoided default 78 times in the last few decades. When it did almost happen a few years ago, even the almost happening caused some pretty significant economic downturns. We lost some jobs, the stock market took a hit. And so that was just with it almost happening. Some studies show that it is estimated we would have 1 million more jobs today had the almost not happened a few years ago. And so the fact that that was just the almost and not the actual is crazy. So imagine if it actually happens today, we could again see some pretty significant economic issues come up that would impact our day-to-day lives. That means when you try to go get a car loan, it's probably going to be more expensive because that interest rate is going to be higher. Same with the housing market. In the housing housing market is already a bit higher because all of the things going on in the economy. Some are calling it a manufactured inflation or a manufactured recession. And so we're already seeing housing rates and different interest rates being double or almost double in some areas than it was a few years ago. And so that is going to continue to increase if we do not are not able to meet negotiations and really get through these conversations about the debt ceiling. Now, Biden left the summit overseas to come back and have conversations with Kevin McCarthy. Apparently, they are continuing to meet, but still are pretty far away from a deal. Conservatives want to essentially keep some Trump era tax cuts that benefit the rich and still are not doing what it needs to do to bring up the middle class, the lower middle class, and the poverty line. And so Biden and the Biden administration is trying to make sure that that does not happen. And so we're going to continue to watch these negotiations and see what happens. But it really is a problem. Like if we're not able to increase the debt ceiling or basically increase our borrowing power, we could definitely see some economic impacts there.
Certainly, and hopefully my mic issues have been resolved.
They have.
But I wanted to make the clarification that sometimes, and it's just because it's where we are. Okay, I'm not going to preface it with my normal rant. When you say that unemployment is low, that means that Black people are employed. Okay, it doesn't mean. I know that it can sound confusing, but I don't want anyone to be confused. It's the lowest it's ever been. That means ninjas have jobs, okay? That's what that means. It means that despite what you see on the blogs, what you see, and what's crazy about the Black community is we are the ones, hear me closely, that they say they use us to get everyone else all riled up, right? Yes. Black people are employed, so they're gonna shout that we don't have jobs, and then because white supremacy, your elder, I'm not gonna call them out, but they hear these things and they're like, and see, y'all ain't even got no job. It's a trickle effect. And you elder that says that because you hear that, validate your source. Validate your source. Validate your source. The same thing happens when it says, well, black children don't have fathers at home. When you look at the United States demographic, the number one demographic that has fathers at home and number one, and it's been like that for decades.
Yes,
decades. Yes. So hear me closely. It's easy to perpetuate a narrative that is negative about people that you don't care about, which is why it happens so often. It happens more often than we talk about. It happens more often than we seem to care about, but I know that we care. So it's important that we validate our sources. It's important that we get the information from the right places. And so Black unemployment being low, that will change immediately if the United States defaults on its debt. And I know Tiff covered the specifics. You know what you know about that. And I know that you've been ignoring, like most people are ignoring negativity. And I feel like, I know it's not on our list of things to talk about right now. I totally get it. Because I did it for like a whole year. Everything that was going on, I didn't see anything negative. It wasn't happening in my world. It wasn't that.
I don't want to go back to that because then I would call you and say XYZ, and you're like, I get it. Like it is, I sometimes have to figure out how to decompress from news and morning news and evening news and local news and it seems like there's at least 2 to 3 mass shootings every single week. And so
you still have a large swath of the population that still has no idea, but they found out that Kim Kardashian got her 6th toe removed. That's not a true story, but you see what I'm saying.
I knew what you meant.
Or maybe you don't.
I get what you're saying, but this is a problem is the point. And we could have a conversation about what those jobs look like in our communities and Black, brown, and disenfranchised communities, because just because the unemployment rate is low and doing well and continuing to tick lower does not mean that they are equitable, high paying, well paying jobs. That's a whole other conversation though. We don't have
That's a conversation for us, our Latinx brothers
yes
and sisters and
yes
theys and thems. Okay,
yes
it's a conversation for us all,
yes.
not today.
Not today, because that'll take us on a whole different tangent. Next, scams. So I don't know if you have noticed this, but now when I'm logging into my financial institution accounts or even just getting emails, I'm seeing these scam warnings. Hey, make sure this isn't a scam. Hey, we're never going to call you and ask you to send us money over the phone.
It's too late, Tiffany, and let me just put it on the table. Some of y'all have been scammed the light way, right? And as somebody that has been scammed, I remember the first time I got scammed, I was in college with the Wachovia account. And Wachovia, Wells Fargo, you're not going to see me ever doing that or making that mistake again.
Ever.
And those of you...
Ever.
I almost hit Wells Fargo, and then I almost hit y'all's Pope. And I'm gonna back myself up.
I'm not, because he is wrong for partnering with that thing.
Bring myself
stupid.
Bring myself back.
Any sense? Whatever.
Bring myself back. What I will say at this moment, I can do that another time, is that the scamming is so bad at this point, and the literacy rate is so low. These things work together. I was reading an article about why a Gen Z, I know y'all gonna feel like I'm coming for you a lot. I probably am. And you were the first people I've ever heard of eating laundry detergent through a pod. So I think that may have affected it. I think it made you more compassionate. You care about the earth, you care about people, and I love that. However, there's no way possible that you guys could be more computer illiterate as a whole. 75% of them are more computer illiterate than millennials. And that shouldn't be the case, because we literally grew up with like what you would call consumer technology, really starting with Windows 95 and the expansion of the internet. That's really what did it. And we grew up with it. So it was innate to us. What happened is they just grew up with Instagram.
But that is...
And they're really good at Instagram, and they're really good at YouTube. But TikTok came after Gen Z was already grown, but they grew up with Instagram, like at 7 years old, and that was the technology that they learned, right? And then you threw cursive writing, you probably threw typing out too, because typing was the derivative of typewriters. Nevertheless, they don't get, and I know this because I have received thousands of emails from Gen Z.
With no subject.
No punctuation. Indentions, like you're writing a letter on a typewriter. They say things to me like FR.
Is that for real?
I guess.
But this makes sense because we grew up with the technology, we didn't have a choice but to learn it, but to learn how it works, but to learn the ins and outs of it, because we needed to understand it. It just existed for them. Like they got here, and
all honesty, I know that I oversimplify things, but it's the case. Microsoft Teams or Slack or whatever you use, because I know you use it, it's just a business version of AOL.
They don't know what AOL is.
I'm talking to millennials.
Oh, well, yes.
Sorry. Y'all know what it is. So and that's why it's innate for us. It's innate. It's just natural. Like we've been instant messaging each other. I was putting my out of office away message up with dial-up, hoping nobody would pick up the phone, because my friends in 7th grade need to see that I'm going to the kitchen. Don't pick up the phone. That was an out of office. That literally.
Oh my God! I'm hearing that.
But Gen X didn't have that. Yeah, Gen X didn't have that, and Gen Z didn't have that either. Because AOL, Yahoo Messenger, that stuff was gone by that point. So
yeah, it was. It's crazy, but now, Montana has just become the first state to ban TikTok. And now the backlash is already starting. They essentially passed this ban because they said TikTok wasn't sharing their data and the information. And now TikTok is suing the state, saying, y'all never asked. You never asked for the information.
Well, also, yes, TikTok is owned by parent company ByteDance, majority owned by parent company ByteDance, based in China. Yes, China spies on us all the time.
Right.
So also, like, all of the hype over balloons, China was sending balloons before y'all saw that first one. And somehow some hick with the gun convinced that y'all could just shoot it down.
Did you have to say hick?
That's what said it. I know you wanted to hit TikTok. I know we got to hit
that stuff. I don't really. They're suing Montana because of the ban, but so is another group of TikTok creators saying basically you're messing with our livelihood. So we'll continue to watch that, but that's all I got for that story. NAACP. The NAACP has issued an advisory for dictator DeSantis Florida rules and all of the stuff that he's doing down there. Like, do you know how despicable and horrendous of a human being you have to be to go against
I do.
Mickey Mouse?
Mickey
I
Mouse.
really think that just took the cake. You've now
But let me tell you something. And also, I know I'm harping on this literacy thing, but dog whistles also sound like a good strategy to people with no education or people that have bad comprehension problems. So he's down there. Yeah, because that's what really a dog whistle is basically what the Republicans do to say things underhanded so that their base wakes up and hears it. Kind of like, we need to make sure we lock up all the criminals. And they're talking about Black people
and
first, but Black people first.
Yes,
and Black people know this.
Yes,
unless you don't know this,
and many don't. And
then you start agreeing with what they're saying, and you're like, "Yeah, what Trump is saying is not." But they're talking about you. They think your life is criminal.
Yes, and that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything considered criminal to be considered a crime. I mean, think about the rhetoric that 45 was toting around, and now Satan is going around toting around some of the same rhetoric, some a little bit worse, because now he is actually passing legislation. And I hear about a lot of different events and things that are pulling out of the state of Florida because it is just no longer a safe place for Black, for brown, for immigrants, for businesses. Like Disney, Mickey Mouse, Bob Iger has now said, what was it, $1 billion investment for a new park?
Well, they were going to move like 2,000 jobs from California to Florida.
Right.
Let me tell you how this works, Florida. Even my Black people down there, okay? Moving jobs stimulates your economy. Money, the reason that Trump cut taxes and didn't cut yours, but cut business taxes, is so that the businesses continue to, and this is what Republican politics traditionally have been, trickle-down politics. Make things easier for the rich, and they will pay their employees more. Have you been paid more? They're out here with these culture wars and all of this. Oh, we need to restore family values. And in your ignorance, or maybe your lack of exposure or your lack of understanding, you're like, yeah. But also restoring family values is also us more, no more, and let's put the Black people back with the Black people. You know what I'm saying? And they may have a viable argument. Who am me?
Among other things, let's make it harder for them to vote. Let's make it harder for them to access medical and health care that they need. Let's make it harder for them to earn more on every dollar that they actually earn at their jobs, because we are taking so much in taxes. Let's make sure that we are 2 seconds from having to do a literacy test to get access to the vote. 2 seconds from it. Now, I know you're in New York, I'm in the South. It's a little bit different.
You're 2 seconds, but you're right.
2 seconds away.
As the country, I guess you could say we, but you
us
You.
particularly in the South are 2
You.
seconds from having to answer a math question in order
And
to
you're
get
not
elected
lying.
to vote.
You're just
And
not lying.
like, that sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I'm being serious. We're really not that far away from it. But when you look at the trajectory, the conservatives play a very long game in the way that progressives and liberals just do not.
And they always have.
Always have. They said with their lips, well, let me not say that. They said with their mouths that they have they said with their mouths that when they reversed Roe v. Wade, that it was 50 years in the making. So that means from the moment Roe v. Wade became the law and the precedence of the land, they were already working to get rid of that. You think that Roe v. Wade is the only thing that they have been working to dismantle? No. It's also voting rights. It's also access to health care. Georgia has the highest maternal mortality rate in the country, among other statistics that we could go over in Georgia and in the South. And so when we're looking at this trajectory, when we're looking at Roe v. Wade was not something that conservatives said, oh, we're going to do this. It started because, and that's again a whole other conversation. It started because they wanted to keep their segregated congregations and organizations. That is how that started. So they kept poking the bear to see what was going to rile up that base enough. And they got to abortion, and that's what it was. And then all of a sudden, in the late 70s and early 80s, evangelicals started tagging onto this anti-abortion messaging. And now it has carried forward. And now we have Roe v. Wade overturned, a 50-year precedence. If they can do that with that, imagine what else they can do. Your mic is out again. Or you're muted. Imagine what else they can do. The Supreme Court has been taking down different rights, which is making it so that these states can then come in and do whatever they want. So watch the federal protections that we're losing at the Supreme Court and federal level, because that's what's making it easier for these states to pass these different bills and blocks and bans and all kinds of stuff. So we say all that to say, don't go to Florida. The NAACP has issued an advisory against going to Florida. We are issuing an advisory against going to Florida. Don't go to Dictator DeSatan's, aka Governor DeSantis's Florida. It is not safe for your Black, brown, impoverished, disenfranchised, marginalized behind. Okay? Don't go. Nope. Which, speaking of conservatives, Tim Scott. Oh, Tim Scott. We'll play a clip from his presidential announcement bid, and then we'll be back to discuss it.
Thank you. You see, they're attacking our American values, our schools, our economy, and our security. But not on my watch. Not on my watch. That won't work. I cannot stand by while this is done to America. She's done too much for me. Our nation, our values, and our people are strong, but our president is weak.
It's just unnecessary. I don't actually even know where to begin with that. And that was just a clip. There's in another part of his announcement video and speech, he says he's talking about his family lineage and how, you know, his was it his grandfather who went from cotton to Congress? Like, that just, please don't make that your campaign tagline, because I would just really have to drag you throughout the entire primary.
Your granddaddy, and I know he was proud. He was also senile. And I'm gonna use that word. Listen, I know you want to tap my hand for calling Tim Scott's granddaddy that I don't know senile. But your granddaddy, you said, worked in the cotton fields. Most likely was a sharecropper. A, South Carolina. B, how old you are. Slavery was over. Well, legalized slavery was over. So if your dad was a willing slave, I don't think that was the case. But your granddaddy was all of that, because and I, as black as I am, I grew up in black ass Atlanta. I went to school with some white people, and I remember there was this mixed boy that had a pickup truck, and he used to have a Confederate flag on his truck.
Oh, I remember this.
And one day, the black people decided that not on our watch. And that, I mean, vandalism, yes, but there was no more Confederate flag for this black man who didn't know he was going to be black after he turned 18. Because my grandfather was I don't give a damn. He was on the wrong side of history. Your grandfather, who was probably a sharecropper, who worked his life in the field and stopped school in 3rd grade.
And that's not big. That really is how it was.
Your gift to him was becoming a Republican. I can't even get it out. My mouth is not letting me get it out. A Republican senator from South Carolina. That's where you came aside Lindsey Lady G. Graham. God,
that's better than what I call him.
Forgive me, Lord. And your grandfather was able to see you do it. And you say he was proud.
I mean, and to an extent, he probably is.
And I think that he probably was.
But we also don't know.
Senile. And here, and I senile was on my head because also I want to put this in context about why it's important to vote for, and I can't do this today because I know we are already out of time, but how Joe Biden, like the Republicans will make you believe that Joe Biden has done all these things to you, when in actuality, if he gets one more term, he's actually going to take care of you for the rest of your life. He'll make sure some things are done. However, if they get their hands on it, they will do what they've always done and obstruct, destroy, overspend, and then obstruct, try to take over the Capitol. But I should say this to you. The word senile and senator have the same root word. They have the same root Latin word. And that's all thank you. And I'm done with where I'm going with politics today, because if I say anything else, they'll make sure that what's happening right now between you and I, this will never happen again. So
okay, so
I have said my piece.
So Tim Scott. So now let me give the legality, the official story or whatever.
The news part of it.
Sure, Senator
news.
Because we're a morning news show. So yes, Senator Tim Scott has officially entered the race. He gave his announcement yesterday in, I believe, a 35-40-minute speech. That seems like it at least. But he actually has a fighting chance against DeSatan and 45, because he's coming into this race with $20 million. That's more than most candidates come into it with. So he's able to already kick off his campaign with a lot of work. He also has bipartisan adoration, both conservatives and progressives, or conservatives and Democrats, because let's not act like they're all whatever.
I'm gonna let you have that, but also I want to be very clear and remind you of the year 2015, when there were 12 Republicans that had a chance, and all of them had more money than Donald Trump.
They did.
They had more money, more bipartisan support. Carly Fiorina, Tim Scott didn't do it that time, but he gave them all nicknames and shamed them.
He did.
And the shameful shamed the shameful, I guess.
And so I'm glad you said that, because this is a reminder that we can never say never. A lot of us back then were saying, he's not going to win. Who's voting for this asshat? Like, He's not going to win. This isn't going to happen. This is never would, not in America. They're not going to. And then it happened. And so please don't think that just because he is a twice indicted former president who has multiple lawsuits, twice impeached former president, that he and now indicted in a civil suit with
34 times criminal indictments, federal indictments.
34. Eugene Carroll.
If your black ass had 34 indictments, you're not seeing the light of day. Yeah, you're not seeing the light of day.
You're going to jail.
You're not going to be down in your castle in Florida.
No. Eugene Carroll just added to her defamation suit, which is separate from the civil suit that she already won. She is
giving me joy. It's giving me true joy.
And every time he mentions her or says something about her, she's like, "Oh, add another $5 million to this defamation suit." And so, but don't think that just because that is happening, and that there is another potential indictment here in Atlanta, in addition to that case, don't think that that does not mean he will continue to run. He will continue to run, and his fan base and his minions will continue to support him. So, like,
well, it's not that. I think fan base and minions isn't the problem. He can't win. Joe Biden, well, he can't. Joe Biden did beat him. Like, that's what we have to consider. Yes. His base is only 30%. However, they are so loud. And they are so loud that the other 60% that either claim independent or conservative, they're totally afraid of these people that have made themselves United States martyrs for patriotism, which is also a damn dog whistle. So the thing about it is, it's important not that you listen to all the rhetoric. It's not. Because you don't need, an average person does not need to know every little, you can't even, it doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things, right? I get that. You do need to know what affects you. You do. And I'm not talking about today. That is, watch this strategy. Republicans for this next campaign cycle, I haven't talked in a long time, will focus on your today. Oh, woe is me. That's literally what it is. Things are so bad. Inflation is so high. Inflation is actually down. It's actually down. It's higher than it was when you was 15 because everything goes up. Things cost 300% more than they did 30 years ago. You know what a hamburger cost at McDonald's in 1992? No, you don't know because you probably weren't alive. But
50 cents. And weren't they a quarter before that?
Yeah, for all of the 80s.
Yeah.
A White Castle burger cost like 5 cents in real life for like 50 years.
Literally.
For like 50 years.
Cost 5 cents. You can't make this up. And I talk to you where you are. Them little bags of candy that y'all, them gummy worms, I know what y'all do. I know that you can't resist when you stand in the aisles. Those things used to cost 50 cents for 2. Now I seen them for like $2 for 1 bag of gummy worms of 6 worms. 6 worms? Are you kidding? That's Joe Biden's fault. It's not. It's not.
Them gummy worms cost the same in Lime. Everything's up everywhere, globally.
Yeah, and it's bad.
But when we focus on you, we need to talk about you. You need to know what's going on. There are potholes in your street, not because of Joe Biden.
No, you need to talk to your local representatives.
Your state isn't a part of the health exchange, or your health exchange plans are shitty. Obamacare is shitty in your state. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Republicans didn't want it to be good, so they never bought into the plans. Like, they did not buy into the marketplace. They never opened it for your state. So, but these are little things. These are the little things that affect you. Your daycare is astronomical. You can't afford it. So these are the things that we will cover. These are the things that we will share. These are the things I think that are important.
I agree with that. And we'll continue to have those conversations. To end this on an entertainment note, I guess, I know Power Force has given its season 2 release date. I'm going to be very honest and say that I have actually not even watched season 1. Don't judge me. There's Tommy. God bless him. Season 2 is coming out September.
I needed a sound effect for that. Like, what? You're either part of the power universe or you ain't.
Now listen, okay?
You can't be picking and choosing and then, I don't want you to tell me because I ain't seen. It's what people are watching. So we gonna talk about it.
I know. I'm going to work on it. Okay. It takes me a lot to get through.
And it's nothing like that. Of course, people want everything to be the same. Like, I don't feel like it's the same. It's not a big rich town. No. Chicago ain't never been New York. So it does give you different vibes. If you're looking for it, like if you know Midwest and you be like, oh, this was a big rich town. You know how that happened up from Mississippi and all that, But it's different. And also being on Irish culture as well. So it's like a
mix.
Yeah, you don't really know what you're getting. But
so we will talk about the Power Universe on this show. We will talk about BMF, among other things. But that Power Force season 2 is coming out September 1st. So I got a little bit of time to watch.
I want to give congrats also to Carmelo Anthony on a career well done. 19 years is amazing in any profession. Ask me. I don't really.
Nope.
Congrats are in order though, definitely.
Absolutely. Congrats to Carmelo Anthony in his retirement. I heard a rumor that LeBron might be considering it, but we'll talk about that if it comes. So, and then lastly, the Color Purple trailer has been released featuring Fantasia and her and Danielle Brooks and so many other, and Haley. I almost said Haley. Never mind. So here's the trailer for that.
Today, our teacher taught us about a place called Africa. She say our mamas come from Queens over there. That means that we royalty.
I don't need you to love me.
Afternoon. I needs me a wife.
Even if we have to part, you and me, us have one heart.
I don't need.
Get off my land!
You.
I rat you every day. Daddy! Nothing but death can keep me from it.
Oh, Miss Seeley.
You must ain't got no kinfolk around these parts.
All I had was my sister. She was the only one ever loved me. I'm gonna hold my head up. I'm gonna put my shoulders back. It's time for you to see the world.
There's gonna be some changes made.
Put it on. This ain't me. Hush. We need to look like we belong. Let's see the smile and color.
Sweet and loving God.
Showing my heart to the folks that I'm close to.
Now we're talking.
Hey,
Dear Seeley, we are more than just kings and queens. We are at the center of the universe.
oh yes, I am.
And just like with anything Fantasia, I'm seeing it because of Fantasia.
I'm seeing it because of Fantasia, among a couple other folks. I normally don't like reboots. I am good with the original, and clearly I really like The Color Purple because I've seen it
But here's the thing: when it comes to certain reboots, it's because when things become iconic, then there's certain or cult classics, then certain things that I don't want you to say.
Yeah.
You told Harpo to beat me?
Like
Who's
that's
gonna-
Oprah's line.
Period. When there were rumors about Beyonce being in Sister Act, I'm like, oh, hell no. She was in Lion King. I said, oh, hell no. The same way. Simba, is it really you?
Lions attack. I will never.
And so, yeah, and I'm gonna leave it there on reboots. Fantasia, you know,
And Ingenue Ellis.
it's like a cup of pot liquor.
Like
with that voice.
Ingenue Ellis is Ingenue Ellis Taylor. But Ingenue Ellis is also a powerhouse. So Fantasia, Ingenue Ellis, her again, it's got a good amount of folks in it. Taraji P. Henson, Haley Bailey is playing Nettie. Louis Gossett Jr. is playing Old Mr. Danielle Brooks, David Allen Greer, Dion Cole, Sierra. It's a bunch of people in there. I'm going to see it because I really like the color purple. I like the iconicness of it. I like the stage play. It took me a long time to enjoy the movie, but I enjoyed the movie. So we'll see what this looks like. And like you, I'm a huge fan of Fantasia Barrino. And so I'm happy for her. I know that she had to, we'll just say she left the stage version when it was on Broadway. And so I'm happy to see this circle back around for her, that she is able to be a part of this project. I'm really happy for her, really proud for her. And I look forward to seeing what they've created. But I think that's going to do it for us today. You want to watch this every morning. You just do. You want to download Black Alerts. You want to watch us. You won't get our commentary and anecdotal additions and things like that and Black Alerts that will just give you the news. But we know y'all really want that stuff. So make sure you are tuning into us. This is America Morning Show, your news show, where we will talk about that is news for us and our communities. I'm Tiffanie.
And more soon come.
And more soon to come. I'm Tiffanie Lanelle. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. I don't know how long I'll be on the Musky Bird app, but for now, I'm there. You can reach me at Tiffanie Lanelle or at Tiff Lanelle. Alex, how can they get in touch with you?
Don't. But Black Alerts is a great publication to follow, and you can catch me here on This Is America.
We
will see you tomorrow.
Deuces.